Prostitutes, escorts, strippers, other kinds of sex workers of Reddit, what was your first day on the job like? Former exotic dancer of 3 years, the first night was intimidating in part because the other dancers are generally hostile toward new girls. That may have just been the case at that club, I'm not sure, but also because the job itself is so heavily stigmatized that you find yourself afraid that somebody you know will see you. That faded after a few weeks though, and it was actually a really fun job. You should always be careful not to fall into the lifestyle though. Keep work and personal lives separate. Hostility varies from club to club. The club I work at, the vast majority of the girls are excited to train baby strippers, and the ones that aren't natural-born stripper mamas are just neutral towards new girls. Unless you're particularly irritating or stupid, the regular girls are all about taking you under their wing. The fear of seeing someone you know is pretty common among dancers, even ones that have danced for a while get uncomfortable with it. But the reality is, for most guys, it's a cool factor. You can make a lot of money off people you know. You're more desirable to them because they know you. Strippers deserve some of the stigma. The nature of the job attracts train wrecks. It's very unique in the level of flexibility and freedom that you have, so it's a natural fit for women who struggle with maintaining any kind of stability. Decide you want to pack up and road trip for shits and grins? Wherever you stop, there's probably a club you can work at to make money to pay for the road trip. Don't feel like working? Just don't show up. You may have to pay a fee the next time you come in. But you're making enough money that do you really care? So the ratio of degenerate fucks to normal people is higher than it is in any other industry. And because they often move around and don't need to maintain good relationships with everyone, you get some cutthroat and ruthless girls. But you also have a lot of nice girls that enjoy the attention and power and who wouldn't love the money? So while I get the mentality of don't trust strippers, I think it's unfair to the relatively normal people who dance for a living. Kind of like any other stereotype. Strippers deserve some of the stigma. The nature of the job attracts train wrecks. It's very unique in the level of flexibility and freedom that you have, so it's a natural fit for women who struggle with maintaining any kind of stability. I have never been able to express this in words and somebody finally did. I never wanted to say that all the girls were bad people cause I knew some decent ones, but some others were pretty out there. Thank you for giving me the words for it. I've been working in the industry for about 5 years now, so at this point, basically all my friends are strippers or strip club employees and my wife is a stripper. But while we have a pretty nice club, very strict on no drugs or prostitution, and we've got a very harmonious dressing room, there are still girls I don't want to be friends with outside of work. I call them fairies, because they flit about with never a thought of tomorrow and often end up getting caught up in all kinds of silly drama. I'm an old man, drama is not my thing. I worked independently as an escort, so there wasn't really anyone to give me advice on what to expect. I read some websites here and there with general advice and set up a profile. The first few messages were people trying to scam me or looking for free nudes, and eventually somebody came through who seemed genuine. We discussed everything and then set a meet-up at his place. Followed up with a phone call as I was setting off to confirm. Seemed a bit shifty over the phone, which made me nervous, and I didn't fully understand the directions to his place. I walked in circles around several apartment blocks being lost and called him nearly in tears because I couldn't figure out where to go. He ended up standing outside his block, so I saw him and he actually looked normal, lol. Slightly balding, wearing a t-shirt and jeans with round face and a kind expression. I can still picture him waving at me and me running towards him like a lost child who just found their parent. Got inside his apartment, ushered him into the shower with me, and then the actual sex part was over fairly quickly. He booked a whole hour and we probably spent 45 minutes just talking about his life, video games and movies we like. The job has its ups and downs, but after that I stopped being so nervous and learned it wasn't as difficult as I thought. Most of my job was just being a good listener and boosting egos, make people feel good about themselves. This is so nice to read. Oftentimes, people think we don't all have sapient experiences and sex workers are the others. I strongly feel these experiences and talking about them with just the words help to relate on so many levels and can draw parallels in my own life. Stay safe, always. Sex workers are just people like anyone else. We aren't perfect and have our own flaws. Escort in a brothel? Honestly, my first day was a mixed bag. The other girl I worked with was hilarious and properly took me under her wing, and fed me a glass of wine before my first John to settle my nerves. I haven't drank on the job since that day, but that one drink really helped. I got tipped by one client, assaulted by another. When I was assaulted though, the other worker, the receptionist and my boss all had my back and gave him a proper telling off and barred him. This was a one-off, it hasn't happened since. I've never felt safer in any other job, and I have more control. I walked home that day with more money than I'd earned in a week in my last job. I've never looked back. Do you still work there? Yes, I do. I'm planning on doing more independent work once this pandemic's settled, but my plan has always been to still do a few shifts a month. Sex work can be so isolating, so it's good for the social aspect if nothing else. When you say you'd be going independent, do you mean you'd have a client list and they'd have direct contact with you, or are you going to use a service to find new clients? I'm long retired now, but I was 21 at the time and at a loose end, new city and no job, so decided to work at a gentleman's club, as a prostitute. I'd done my research and been in for an interview, so I was feeling confident and relaxed. No one else showed up on time, so I was the only girl there on the day shift and sat chatting to the receptionists. My first client was a really good-looking English/Sri Lankan guy who was really sweet and equally nervous. We both couldn't believe it was the other's first time until we were both fumbling and laughing trying to put a condom on correctly. I can't remember who else I saw that day, but I do remember getting paid more than I had earned in a week working 2 jobs. I ended up working for around 7 years and really enjoyed it. That actually sounds really adorable, haha. I'm glad you had a good first experience. What does your resume say you did during that time? I worked a few different part-time jobs over that time, and I've fudged some dates to cover plot holes, but it's been long enough that it's not relevant anymore. Did escorting for about a year. First day was relieving. I was terrified at first because I was given the rundown for what redheads to look out for. There were a lot. But I went on. Most of my clients ended up being older men who just wanted a pretty girl to be seen with and to listen to them. My first day felt more like a therapist than an escort. I'm naive to escort-related stuff. What about redheads now? Was a stripper in my late teens. First day I was nervous as fuck. Some drunk dude walks up to the stage waving a dollar bill and said, "Slap your ass, I'll give you $1." Oddly enough, that made me somehow more comfortable with the whole thing. I actually enjoyed it, and wasn't half bad. Made more money, legally, from 17 to 20 than any other job I had until like 2 years ago. I'm 37 now. I had a friend at uni who stripped for a while. She was a proper girl next door type girl, last person you'd expect to do it. She told me she found it empowering, which I never really understood. She also said she wanted to prove to herself she could. I don't know if that was a body confidence thing or something, but regardless, I got the impression she at least didn't hate it. There's definitely a cool power dynamic with you want to touch me, but you can't, so you're paying money just to look at me. Not to mention it takes some cojones to get up on a stage in general. I'm glad it sounds like she had an alright time of it. Not to mention the sheer athleticism it takes to be a stripper. I had a stripper deadlift me one armed and I weigh about 200 pounds. I started as a waitress in a strip club. 3 months later I tried dancing. My first time in the VIP, where I had been seeing the workflow for 3 months. So I knew what to say and where to go. But my hands were shaking. The guy even asked me if I was okay. After that first hour it was fine, but my body literally was shaking in the beginning. I didn't feel scared, though. It was a natural reaction. You must have found a nice place if your first dude was genuinely concerned if you were okay with it. It was. Bourbon Street Circus, run by the legendary Bob. One of the best managers I ever worked for, period. He never slept with the girls. I'll make a note to visit Bob's Booby Barn on Bourbon. Dancer here. I remember being chill and excited about it. This was 20 years ago. The next few times were a little more nerve-wracking because what does an 18-year-old have to say to middle-aged men, you know? Took me a while to get comfortable. Now I'm a pro and can't wait till the clubs open again. Are you still dancing? Or, are you more of a house mother now? What's it like to be in this business as you near 40? No trolling, I'm truly interested. All good. Yes, I am. I took a handful of years off in between because some boyfriends don't like it. Happens in your 20s. I'm still intact, even better now. I don't have kids, I work out, eat right, seldom drink, take care of my skin, and keep stress level low. I look a lot younger than I am. But with age I know how to talk to people across the board. So I look good with people skills. But yes, I'm one of the older ones in the dressing room now. That's kind of a trip. Lol, I had some girl come up to me recently and was like, "I hope I look as good as you when I'm in my 20s, lol, flattering." But yay, some of the girls are so young and they are making young dumb decisions. But that's how things are, right? You can't tell a young kid nothing. I stick to myself, do my job, and go home. I still get surprised and I still have fun. I probably have a good 10 years left and I'm cool with that. I know how not to let guys disrespect me, I won't stand for that. I think of myself more ageless if anything. Thank you. I've been feeling low in quarantine and your attitude about life has really given me a boost. Stay safe out there. I hope you all enjoyed the video. If you have a similar story, share it in the comments below. Be sure to like and subscribe for more. Have a great day, or night.